We all know that Storm of Earth 616, the main comic book continuity, is one of the most powerful versions out there, as well as one of the most powerful superheroes in general. But how do the rest of our alternates measure up? Let's find out. Number 10. Ultimate Storm. While Storm is considered an Omega level mutant and is also the queen of mutant Mars currently in the Ultimate Universe, she isn't quite as powerful. Here Storm still has her weather manipulation mutant powers, but she also doesn't seem to have immunity to them, and they aren't quite as powerful as her 616 version. Now I put mutant in quotes there because the mutants really aren't quite the same in terms of their origin in comparison to Earth 616, so I'm not sure if we even really consider them mutants following the revelation that they were created as a result of Super Soldier Serum, basically experimentation runoff. Storm in the Ultimate Universe of Earth 1610 can use her powers to influence the weather by commanding meteorological energy patterns. However, this doesn't mean that she herself is immune to their effects. She can potentially electrocute herself, catch fire, or even catch a cold just from being out in the rain too long, which aren't really symptoms that 616 Storm seems to be vulnerable to. She is still, however, a skilled and agile thief in this universe. Number 9. Queen of Asgard. Storm and Thor have always been a fan favorite ship for many comic book readers and lovers of the Marvel Universe. Why? Well, because they both have weather-based powers, and a lot of people see the God of Thunder as the perfect match for Aurora, goddess and commander of lightning. Though, I do think they both also have thunder and lightning powers themselves individually. A lot of people are like, Thor is like thunder, Storm is lightning. I'm pretty sure they can do both of those things. Still, these two have been shipped for a while, but we haven't gotten a ton of payoff when it comes to prominent alternate realities where they end up together. Enter Thunderstorm. Thunderstorm of course never made it onto the comic book page, but was a character in development that creators Saladin Ahmed and Javier Rodriguez had hoped would get to show up in their Exiles run from 2018. Alas, the story never got on long enough for Thunderstorm to be introduced, which is the only reason this version of Storm, Thunderstorm's would-be mother who ended up as a ruler of Asgard and took Thor for her consort, is ranked so low on this list. She and her daughter never really got to exist, but the concept for Thunderstorm and her family is so awesome I just needed to talk about it. And technically the concept still exists in the world, so we could see Thunderstorm and we could see her mom at some point somewhere in the multiverse. It was an idea that was written down, and the concept art for it is beautiful. I love this design for Thunderstorm. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more Storm lists, goodness knows I want to give you more Storm lists. Also, like, there's just not a lot of Storm content in the world of the internet, and there needs to be more of it for how much we love her. Be sure to let us know you want more of it by giving this video a thumbs up. Also comment below and tell me about how much you love Storm. Number 8. Storm, War to Come. It's the final countdown for this version of Storm. Here in the Millennial Visions short story X-Men War to Come, which apparently takes place on the alternate Earth of 1033, Storm is one of the final remaining X-Men who must fight against an all-powerful Magneto, currently in Rogue's body. This all happened after Magneto learned he only had a few months to live. This prompted him to attack, creating an all-out battle that would decide the future of mutant kind. Storm was gravely injured in that fight but survived. Storm's pain, however, was what inspired Rogue to give it her all in defeating Magneto. She absorbed his powers but also much of his mind and memories. As powerful as Magneto's consciousness was, he was able to overtake Rogue's body. Only Storm, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler remain on this Earth to stop him during a final stand in the Savage Lands. We don't know how that went, but we can assume it went well because Storm was among the 3 that survived, so sounds like it's gonna go well to me. Storm, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler also sounds like a good OP team. Number 7. MANGAVERSE. There are kind of a couple different versions of Storm when it comes to the MANGAVERSE, but the one that I like the best is the one who is an all-powerful witch. She is not only a mutant but also a powerful magic user here who was once in a powerful coven with Amanda Sefton. While Amanda Sefton became obsessed with dark magic and corrupted by it ultimately, Storm would go on to join the X-Men. One day, however, she would be forced to face her past as the electromagnetic demon Magnus, once summoned to Earth by Sefton, returned, requiring Storm to take action. This version of Storm, which we see in Marvel MANGAVERSE X-Men, is also a leader of the X-Men. Which honestly, Storm should be leader of the X-Men. She's a badass, alright? Actually, I can't believe, I feel like that's only happened a few times in the comics, and How disappointing. How disappointing. Number 6. Zombie Storm. Storm in the Earth Z alternate universe of Earth 2149 was actually pretty powerful and capable. Before becoming a zombie, she was one of the few remaining superheroes left alive. She is initially approached by Magneto along with the other X-Men to join him and help save the world. She also is one of the few who makes it onto the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, where Nick Fury debriefs them on the apocalyptic situation and calls for a cease of hostilities between all villains and heroes, as you know, right now they need all the help they can get to save the Earth from the zombie invasion. Eventually Storm would become a zombie, but even then it is implied that she made it through till at least the zombie Galacti showed up. And let's be honest, not a lot of zombies made it past that point, so if you make it to that point, to me, you're doing pretty good as a zombie in Marvel Zombies. Number 5. WINDRIDER. This version of Storm is a hero who survives in the Age of Apocalypse alternate Earth of 295. Here Storm goes on to become enhanced by celestial technology, granting her precognitive powers. She initially takes up the name WINDRIDER in this reality and builds up her own nation, attempting to protect her people there from Apocalypse. Despite being captured and defeated by Apocalypse, WINDRIDER manages to withstand his mistreatment of her and even resist the telepathic probing of Shadow King. It's pretty crazy, because Shadow King is pretty powerful. She summons a storm using her powers that is so great it creates a huge power outage, thereby giving her the window she needs to escape. Aurora here is given the name Storm by Apocalypse, but later on takes up the codename Aurora Diaz. Number 4. BLOODSTORM. BLOODSTORM is an alternate version of Aurora Monroe, who was also once known as Storm. She was a member of the X-Men up until she was taken by Dracula, who intended to make her one of his vampire brides. While he succeeded in turning her into a vampire here, she proved too strong for him to control, and she ultimately overthrew and defeated him. Later on, Storm would also face Dracula again in a final showdown, where she would succeed in killing him. Her powers are those of Storm of Earth 616, the main continuity, but in addition to that, she's also a vampire. As such, she can use her powers to turn others into her thralls, make them do her bidding, as she did with Kitty Pryde, who had previously tried to kill her old friend and mentor. Kitty was very much like, no vampires, I don't like it. She also possesses all the skills Storm normally has when it comes to her thievery skills and presumably some of her fighting skills as well. As a vampire, BLOODSTORM also possesses superhuman strength, speed, durability, and shapeshifting powers. She can turn into mist. Number 3. Goddess of Thunder. This alternate version of Storm comes from the multiversal patchwork world known as God Emperor Doom's Battle World. Here Storm wields the mystical hammer known as Stormbringer. She ends up becoming one of the members of God Emperor Doom's elite police force known as the Thor Corps. Even gaining a place on this team is a huge accomplishment. This version of Storm, I believe, still has her own standard powers, but also wields the power of Stormbringer, making her extra electrifyingly powerful. Not only that, but she should get extra power points for just how epic and badass this version of her looks. I love this character design. Number 2. Storm, Goddess of Thunder. Our previous Goddess of Thunder isn't the only one to exist out in the multiverse, by the way. In one of the realities we get a glimpse into through millennial visions, this one being classified as Earth 1027, Storm became more attracted to violent elements of nature, preferring to spend time in the eyes of hurricanes, tornadoes, and storms. She ends up falling in love with Thor, which created a conflict with Tarine, who also loved him. Thor would ultimately be forced to kill Tarine as she was driven mad by Loki's mischievous magic and, well, attacked. As such, Storm would inherit Tarine's hammer and become known as the Goddess of Thunder. Number 1. STORMPHOENIX. This version of Storm appeared in the What If story, What If Storm Had the Power of Phoenix. It was featured in issue 79 of the first volume of What If from 1989. Here Storm ends up as the Phoenix instead of Jean, after she creates a tornado to save the shuttle she and her fellow X-Men are as it hurtles down towards Earth from outer space. The real Storm, like Jean, ended up gravely injured and basically comatose, kept in a pod under the sea, while the Phoenix took her place, becoming a sort of an imprint of her and itself melded together, the Storm Phoenix. The Storm Phoenix was all powerful, but while Aurora was fair, just and compassionate as a person, the Storm Phoenix eventually became cold as ice and cruel to those who disobeyed her laws while she ruled over Earth. Initially, life was basically like a paradise, but as her punishments became more and more unforgiving, the world slowly became a hell where those punished and those even in the vicinity were killed by vicious storms that the Storm Phoenix would unleash on them. Eventually, Storm Phoenix would be defeated. While it's vague how this happened, it is implied that multiple warheads had to be deployed to blow her up, or at the very least just to scare her off. So she is gone, but also it took a lot. Because Storm Phoenix. What alternate versions of Storm are your favorite? Which do you think is the most powerful version? What fan-made alternate would you love to see make its way to the big screen or to the comics? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd. Thank you so much for watching. I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you as always to stay nerdy, YouTube.